Today we're going to be reflecting on my bookish goals for 2024 and talking about goals that I want to take into the new year. If you're new here, my name's Gabriella and I talk all things bookish. I love romance, fantasy, sports romance, and I'm also an aspiring author. I had some clear goals that I set at the beginning of this year for all things bookish and what I wanted to do, and I thought I would reflect on how I got on with that. So I have a little list. When I did it, it was my bookish ins and outs, so different things that I wanted to do and different things I didn't want to do. So let's start going through them. The first one was taking more times for the books that I love. This I mainly was talking about like books that I could not wait to come out. I didn't want to like rush through them. Like for example, a big release this year that I was so excited for was Goldfinch by Raven Kennedy, and I think I took my time because a lot of like the releases like that, they're so long and I don't want to rush through it and miss anything. I feel like I did that a lot last year. I feel like I rushed through Iron Flame and I rushed through a lot of other books, but I did not want to do that this year and I feel like I successfully did that. Next I have down reading outside. I haven't done this. I feel like I am an inside reader. I basically read inside most of the time. I actually can't think of a time that I did read outside. There's lots of things that we can do with that one. Next I have highlighting quotes that I love. Did I do this? I highlight a lot on my Kindle, but I do not highlight when I'm reading a physical book. I don't like actually marking my physical books. That's why I mostly do it on Kindle, but I feel like I really need to do this more. I only really do it for the odd book occasionally. Also, what I put down was reading smaller or indie authors. I feel like I have done this quite a lot this year. I'm mainly going to try and be doing this through NetGalley this year. I feel like I really didn't utilise NetGalley until very recently. And I think it's a really good way to not only read authors that I've not heard of before, also share with you books that we might not have heard of on Book Talk yet. Next was my outs for the year. The first one was reading overhyped books straight away. I think I've really been successful this year in doing so. Even though a lot of big releases came out this year and a lot of like overhyped books happened this year, like Metal Slinger and all the different ones like that, I feel like I just like took my time, prioritised what I wanted to read, and then just got to them when I wanted to get to them. I also wanted to prioritise DNFing this year, which I have done. Before this year, I did not DNF a book at all. Like I had to finish it. Whether I liked it or not, I was finishing the book. Whereas I have DNF'd and soft DNF'd quite a lot this year. Soft DNFing is just when you DNF and then you will come back to it at some point. Sometimes we're just not in the mindset to read that particular book, and that's okay. We can come back to it. This also went hand in hand with chaining myself to my TBR. Last year, I literally just followed my TBR to a T. I chose what books I was going to read that month, and those were the books that I read that month, and it really hindered me a lot of the time. So this year I did a lot of mood reading for the whole year, which was kind of to my detriment because that's what led to some not so great months. But I feel like I should have stuck to my TBRs a bit more closely, at least picking at least a couple books I definitely was going to read for that month, which I feel like I tried to do, but I didn't follow it at all. I should also probably talk about how many books I put on my reading goal for the year, which was 80 books. I read 80 books last year when my goal was 60 books, and this year I made it 80 books because I achieved that. I've just hit 80, just in the nick of time before Christmas and the New Year happens. I kind of wanted to put 100 down, but I did not want to set myself up for failure. I knew I could read 80 books, so that is exactly what I've ended up reading. I'm just going to be reading just slightly over 80 books now. So for 2025, I have chose 5 bookish goals that I want to stick to. The first one being that I want to read 90 books. So only 10 more than my goal this year. I feel that we can achieve it if I'm a bit more strict with my TBRs. The next one is I really want to read different genres. I feel like I'm a romance girly through and through, so it kind of does have to have more romance in it, but I'm not adverse to some dark romance. maybe some more sports romance, maybe fantasy that doesn't have as much romance in it. I also was thinking monster romance, but we'll see. Those are all the genres I feel like I'm willing to dive into. My next one is to be a bit more consistent with tracking my reads. I mainly use Goodreads, but for the past few weeks I have been using Fable. If you don't know what Fable is, it's kind of like a more aesthetic book tracking app. You get a bit more of a detailed analysis all the way through the year, and it looks pretty. And also what you can do on Fable, which I have really been loving recently, it's really kept me on the reading grind. You can put a widget on your home screen. So I have this widget right here. It basically makes you see your reading as like a streak, like on Snapchat. So I'm on a 13-day streak at the moment. It basically just makes sure that I read every day, and even if it's just like a chapter or two, that'll eventually just lead into more, because once you start reading, like, you really can't stop. The only thing I would say about Goodreads versus Fable, when you go to put in your rating, although you can do half stars and quarter stars, which I think is really great, when you go to put in your rating, there's too many questions. There's too many different sections that you have to fill out, and I just can't be bothered with that. I feel like I need to get better use out of it, because I could really like monitor how I felt about different books. It's usually why I don't do a lot of written reviews, because I really don't know how to gather my thoughts straight after I finish a book. I really need to get better at going back and putting my review in. I feel like I'm still going to use Goodreads just because it's connected to my Kindle, but Fable I really want to get more use out of. Which then brings me to my next one, which is to start a book club, and I would be starting a book club on Fable. I am going to wait until I reach 20,000 followers on TikTok, and then I will create my book club. If you don't follow me on TikTok, definitely go over, because I post absolutely every single day on there. And I feel like that would really help as well, because then that's at least one book that I know I have to read that month, and it will force me to read it and then interact on the book club. And also it's kind of like buddy reading, because I love buddy reading with my friends. This is basically like a big buddy read with all of us, and we can all discuss what's happening in the book, which to me sounds like the most fun thing ever. And my last goal is to utilise NetGalley more. If you don't know what NetGalley is, it's basically a platform where you can request ARCs for books. So you would get like an e-ARC, which is an advanced reader copy. It's so authors can get some advanced reviews on their books or any feedback before the book is published. And there are lots of like well-known authors that use that, and there's also authors that you might not have heard of, and it just allows you to get a little bit more of a varied reading experience, instead of always choosing ones that you see on BookTok or Bookstagram or BookTube. So I will definitely be requesting more books on there, and at least having one book a month that's going to be from like a smaller author from there, and put books out there that you might not have heard of as well. That is everything for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I always love making goals for myself for the year or for the month. I think it really helps me narrow down what I want to achieve. Please comment with any bookish goals that you have for yourself, or even just goals for the year. I'd be really excited to see what you have on there. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.